Do you want to know how to raise a strong-willed child? Well, I can help you with that. I was a strong-willed child, and I actually have 4 strong-willed children of my own. Also, I spent years doing treatment foster care for youth ages 12 to 18, and guess what? Strong-willed. So in this video, we're going to be talking about strong-willed children and what you can do to help them become the most successful that they can be. I'm Nicholeen Peck. I teach parenting, family communication, and child development all over the world, and I do that through the lens of self-government. The principle of self-government suggests that we can all control ourselves. But what about the strong-willed child? They seem to be especially tough. Can they control themselves? The answer is yes. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some key things that you can do to help your strong-willed child thrive. I am a strong-willed person. I don't think I would do even half of the things that I do in my life if I did not have such a strong will. If you want to raise a strong-willed child, I hope you're really wanting that strong-willed nature within that child to actually be a power for them, because it absolutely can be. Now, we also know the strong-willed person has a tendency to create some contention too, because they like to be right, they don't want to be controlled or manipulated. Well, there is something that we can present to them on a regular basis that will help them decide to use that strong will in a good way. In fact, I have multiple things that I'm going to share with you that will help steer them toward becoming a very productive and inspiring strong-willed person instead of one of those strong-willed people that just creates problems in all of their relationships. So what does a strong-willed person want more than anything else? The truth. Let me tell you a story from my life. I didn't used to get along with my parents when I was young. Around the age 14, we battled each other all the time. In fact, I just felt like they were trying to control me. I didn't spend much time listening to much they had to say. Well, there was a neighbor, a very kind one, who noticed that I was having a struggle with my parents, and she actually extended a challenge to me. She said, "Nicholeen, I think you'll get more of the things you want if you choose to say okay and be okay." She said, "Every single time your parents tell you to do something or not to do something, say okay and be okay." What a challenge. What's the harder one? Saying okay or being okay? I suggest to you the harder one is actually being okay. But I decided I was going to prove her wrong, that my parents were just controlling and super, angry and strict and dominant. And so I said, it's not going to work. I'll show you. And she said, okay. And so then I went off. She said to do it for 2 weeks. After just a couple of days of saying okay and being okay to my parents, my whole life changed. All of a sudden, everything was more pleasant. All of a sudden, it seemed like I had more freedoms and more trust. It was amazing. In fact, I knew I had learned a vital truth for my life. Number 1 vital truth was, I can say okay and be okay if I choose. I do not have to talk back. But then the second part of this vital truth was, I chose it. I picked it, which means I can pick anything I want. And I can actually be a person that helps determine my own destiny just based upon my own behavior and the way that I communicate with other people. Whoa, no going back to battles. Now I was going to take the proactive approach. I was going to be that daughter who did anything that she was asked to do, and I was going to change my relationships, and they absolutely did change. All of a sudden I was going to parties that I wasn't allowed to go to before. All of a sudden I had friends over when I wasn't allowed to before. I had freedom and connection and peace and power because I knew it was my choice. So I found a truth. It changed everything. That's what your strong-willed child wants. The truth. So maybe sometime just say to them like my neighbor did, have you ever thought of just saying okay? Did you realize that if you just choose to say okay and be okay, you'll probably end up getting more of what you want because it establishes trust and bonding and relationship and it puts the roles in the right place? Whoa, nobody ever tells them that. They just keep battling it out, hoping they'll come to that truth on their own. Let's just save the time and give the children the truth they need. I have a few more really juicy principles that I want to share with you, but before we get to that, I would like to invite you to subscribe to this channel. There are so many videos that come out on this channel related to strong-willed children, but also just to parenting through some of the hard knocks that we experience as parents in life. And I want to give those to you so that you can get the help that you need on this parenting journey. So subscribe now so that you don't miss some of that valuable content. Could change your life. A strong-willed person needs skill development too, because if not, what happens is they resort back to their skills of manipulation. So even though they're focused on truth, when they can't see the truth or they feel like somebody is coming after them or trying to manipulate them, then guess what they do? They go into their reservoir of manipulation. Maybe you've noticed this. Many strong-willed people do have a problem trying to slide by different things or present things as true when they're not. And it really is in an effort to self-protect against somebody else trying to manipulate them. What we need to do is give them the skills they need for communication. My neighbor said, say okay and be okay, whether they tell you to do something or not to do something. I didn't know it then, but she was teaching me two vital skills: the skill follow instructions and the skill accepting a no answer. So to follow an instruction, a person looks at the person or the situation, keeps a calm face, voice, and body, says okay or asks to disagree appropriately, does the task immediately, and then checks back. This is a vital skill for a person to learn so that they can have their side of the communications go well and keep those roles in the right place so that dysfunction does not result. The other skill she taught me was accepting a no answer. To accept a no answer, you look at the person or situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then drop the subject. That means that you don't think about that situation anymore. Now that's empowering. When you realize, I don't have to battle this. I can just drop the subject and choose to be okay, choose to be happy, choose to take control of my life. That's what the strong-willed person wants. They want to know they have some control. Well, they have all the control. You can't make someone have a change of heart. You might be able to manipulate their behaviors, but truly, every person gets to choose what they will believe, who they will follow, and how they will conduct themselves. We train, we hope for the best, and then we correct them along the way. But in the end, the heart change is up to them. Parents who raise really great, self-governed, strong-willed children understand the power of bonding with the child. So that relationship development holds all the other teaching of those skills, all the correcting of the problems and everything in place. What you have to do to have that good bonding is you've got to make sure you deliberately pick times to bond together as a family. So making sure that you have activity times together as well as talk times are super important. When a person who is strong-willed is learning to focus on the truth, they need someone to discuss with. This helps them learn and grow. So open discussion, open communication is vital. Now I know there's probably someone out there thinking, my child shuts me out. My child won't actually communicate openly with me, which is one of the problems I have. They're so strong-willed, they won't even have a conversation with me. That does seem pretty dire. If that's the case, then you can have a one-sided conversation and explain a lot of the truths about their behavior and the way you're handling it so that they know the way it's maybe going to change. I do recommend learning how to teach them the skills, how to communicate with them openly, and setting up a structure where they will be held accountable for those disconnecting moments which actually are creating toxicity within the family bonds. You can't allow that to continue on, but power struggling out of it does not help. There are ways that you can help them open up if they're not willing to have those very productive, in fact, liberating, open communications that they need to. That's the thing. Open conversation frees a person. It's totally liberating, which is ironic that the strong-willed person is trying to shut it down. Sometimes a strong-willed person doesn't want to change. That's their big thing. They want to think they're right no matter what. Even though they love the truth, they also know if they find it, they are required to change. That's how a strong-willed person works. If they find one truth, now they're obligated to adjust something. Sometimes they're lazy. They don't want to adjust something, so they don't want the truth. And that's why they try to shut out the conversation. Tell the truth anyway. Don't do it in a lecture or demeaning way. Say the truth about what their behavior is leading to, cause and effect wise. Learn the principles of self-government. It will help you and your child. I would like to give you a free class because you've joined me on this video today. So there is a class called The Expectation Trap versus the Cycle for Success. There is a link to the class here that you can go to and you can see how you keep getting trapped. In fact, it might help your child recognize how they are getting trapped in their communications with you, which leads to more of these conflicts that we keep blaming on being strong-willed, when really we can use that same strong will to lead toward more unity and bonding. I definitely learned that when I was 14 years old. It changed everything for me, and I taught my children those same lessons so we didn't have to have the same conflicts that I had with my children. Sometimes I think the problems that we're having in our society actually are that we just are lacking the skills and the description of what is really happening so that we can make a change. We just keep reacting. We need to be proactive. We need to talk more, explain more, learn more skills. The video, The Expectation Trap versus the Cycle for Success, is going to help you with some of those skills. Click on that link now. I'll see you there.